Hello and welcome to this Keep Indiana Learning live stream on unpacking acronyms. This is actually round two, and today we'll be working with things related to data and testing. My name is Tim Arnold. I'm an e-learning specialist at Richmond Community Schools and a digital learning coach with Keep Indiana Learning, and I'll let the other two fellows introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Winslow. I'm our district elementary instructional coach and assistant principal, and also a digital learning specialist.
I'm Bo Gibson, Lagodi High School. I teach an assortment of STEM classes, engineering, manufacturing, math, and science. I'm on my 10th year of teaching. I'm also a digital learning coach.
Okay, as you can see, we've got the wheel of doom here on the screen with all of the acronyms for today. As I said, this is part two of a three-part series of acronyms that we've all run across, or maybe some we don't know. And I'll be honest, there are a few on here I wasn't really sure about, so I'm excited to learn about them. So, Jonathan, if you want to go ahead and spin the wheel, and we'll see what's first.
All right. First up is map.
Anyone wants to take a stab at this first?
Well, I think I know that it's a measure or measures of academic progress. And I know I've heard of MAP testing before, but I'm not sure those are the same thing. So who can help me out with this one?
I think this one belonged to me. So our district does a lot of NWEA testing. I'm sure many people are familiar with NWEA. And this is a term that they use quite often in their terminology. Again, it's a measure of academic progress, and it is kind of what it sounds like. It's just a way to measure growth of a student across the school year, across their standards. So,
yeah, and NWA is another acronym we'll come across soon, so we'll talk more about that.
And there are more connections here to NWEA and MAP as we go through these.
You can't get around using acronyms, even when you're trying not to.
All right, our next one is up.
So this one is WIDA. I'm sure you're hearing it often if you have a school where you're serving English language learners in your building. WIDA is short for, I had to look this one up actually, World-Class Instructional Design and Assessment. So WIDA oftentimes is referred to as a test that English language those that are learning their English language take, but also there is actual standards there as well. So there's a WIDA framework for working with students that are developing in English. On their tests, they are being tested in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And within those tests, they're then given a rating of level 1 to 6. And it's a progression of their understanding of the English language in all of those areas, 1 being the lowest and 6 being the highest. So as students are learning English, we're hopefully seeing them progress through those different levels. And if you're looking for more information, you can go to wida.wisc.edu for testing information along with those standards and the can-do descriptors within each of those levels.
Nice. And I think the current window is closing here at the end of February. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right.
All right, let's see what's next.
Ooh. Hey, this is one I know. Of all the wheel, there's a low percentage, I think, but this one's good. End of course assessment. So this can be used in a lot of contexts. I'll say what I know, and then maybe someone else can jump in with a little bit more. I know as a STEM teacher, I teach a lot of PLTW classes, and so every one of those has their own. They used to call them end of course assessment. Now I think they moved to EOC. There's another abbreviation for us. But it still stands for end of course, and then they just write the word assessment. But anyway, it is kind of what it says it is, right? It's an assessment you'll take at the end of your course to kind of assess your learning over the stated learning objectives. So.
Yeah, the term actually includes things like the SAT and PSAT, but more often it's used to describe things like the iLearn biology exam, grade 9 or 10, and even the optional U.S. government exam that's out there. What I didn't know and what I learned when I was looking at some of this stuff was there's actually a naturalization exam that students take now through a U.S. government course. And schools are required to report the number of students taking it, number that pass on the first attempt, and then the overall pass rate. So that was new to me.
Awesome. Great information. I don't have anything to add to that.
Older math teachers might remember the Algebra 1 ECA back in the day. That was a big deal. They kind of did away with that, though.
Right. Another one that goes with NWEA, which we mentioned with math a little bit earlier. Lots of teachers talk about the RIT score of students within NWEA, and this is actually short for Ready for Instruction Today. So when you're looking at NWEA results and you see the RIT bands of students in different strands within math or reading or language, those RIT bands will give you instructional moves that you can make with those students that they're ready for today. Short goes with that, ready for instruction today.
Nice.
All right, let's keep it rolling. Ooh, this one, if you haven't heard about it, you're going to be a lot. Probably if you're a K-8 teacher.
Is this me? Is it my turn to guess here?
Go for it.
All right. So tide, these are controlled by the moon, and it's when the ocean comes in. No, I don't know this one. So someone else saved me from myself.
You were absolutely right from a scientific perspective. From the data and testing field, this stands for Test Information Distribution Engine. And so this is the site where all student information has to be loaded through bulk registration that allows students to take tests like NWEA and things like that. I found out about this because an administrator asked me, "Hey, do you have a Tide account?" I was like, I don't think so. And the way you said it, I don't think I want one, but I got one and helped out with NWEA testing last year. So it's a large distribution engine for pushing out student information, and students have to be in it to be able to take the tests that are within it.
Yes. And teachers in K-8 are probably have gone through some sort of training in Tide at this point for testing security to make sure that you're able to administer an iRead test or an iLearn test. All of the training is through Tide a lot of times, and you get a certificate at the end. And you also can view student results. You assign tests through Tide, and then all accommodations for students and modifications to testing are also pushed from your SIS, which we talked about before, your student information system, to Tide to get that information correct. All right, we're slowly getting through all of these. Let's see what's next. Ooh, good connection here.
So CTC stands for Corporation Test Coordinator. So this is the big dog in your corporation at the top level, who is the primary contact between your school district and the Indiana Department of Education for all things testing related. So they ensure that everybody has reviewed and signed off on the security and integrity agreements. They ensure the documentation of all staff is done appropriately. They make sure all test administrators have had the training that they're supposed to have. They're in charge of making sure that everyone who gives a test follows the procedures. All permissions are filled out and assigned correctly. And then they even deal with things like downloading and distributing test manuals and following the regulations for collecting those and securing those and all the stuff that goes with giving tests in any district. They monitor things at each school site. Probably the biggest thing they do is they're the person you report test irregularities to if you have one of those. I had those back in the old days when we were using actual booklets in my 7th grade class because I set a world record for having 3 people vomit on a test booklet in one day. I'm pretty sure it's still a world record. I haven't checked the Guinness Book of World Records, but I think I hold it.
Yeah, if you're not sure who your CTC is, it's likely someone from your central office, and it's likely someone who's bugging you with lots of emails. So if you're getting emails from a person about testing, that's probably your CTC.
Yeah, this time of year, it's pretty easy to identify who the CTC is. You'll be getting emails pretty regularly.
Yes. right. NWEA. We've referred to this one a couple of different times. With RIT and with MAP, NWA and MAP kind of go hand in hand. Although there's different parts of NWA besides just the MAP portion. NWA stands for Northwest Evaluation Association. Other districts might be using something like iReady or Acuity. There's lots of different assessment groups out there that you can utilize. But basically, NWA is a testing component that is a benchmark test. So in a little bit, you'll hear about BOI, MOI, and EOI. Usually NWA is administered at those times of the year. It gives teachers information about student progress over the course of the year. NWA has lots of different subtests included. So reading, language, and math, and there's also some science components. And now NWA is even stretched a little bit further into MAP fluency, where it's actually using AI to listen to students read texts and give an accurate words correct per minute at different lexiles. So lots of things happening in WA. Your school might be using that or something different.
So some pretty cool stuff on the reports on the back end as well too. I prefer the kind of the 4-quadrant report that will show a whole classroom, a whole grade level. But there are also some really great individual student reports that you can take a look at.
Yeah, Tim, that's what I was about to touch on. I was, as educators, we love our data. We love being data driven, and NWA can produce data like no other. You can get all sorts of reports and printouts and scores, and yeah, it's a data lover's dream.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Right. The cat.
The CAT, the computerized adaptive testing. I know what it stands for. I think I know what it means, but whoever put this on there, be the expert here and make sure I don't give out any bad information. I might jump in after you.
So computer adaptive testing is basically just the test scoring questions and making different decisions on how students move through a test based on their answers. So there are some CAT iLearn tests that students take in grades 3 through 8. NWA is a computer adaptive test where, based on how students are answering, it will either level them up to more difficult questions based on correct answers or level them down based on those incorrect answers to kind of find where that student's ceiling is.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. I will say, as a teacher, students can get real frustrated with these sorts of tests. Yes. I know I remember teaching a 8th grade pre-algebra class, and we had one girl that just kept getting trigonometric ratio questions. She's like, I don't know what I'm doing. And she's, one of those perfectionists, really, can't stand not knowing what's going on. And so it can be frustrating, but again, it can provide some very useful data.
Agreed. And I think it's important for us to tell our students that if they don't know, just to answer, because it's trying to find that ceiling and not to get so frustrated during that testing process.
Jonathan, you can tell them every single time, and it's the same. It's the same result.
Easier said than done, for sure. All right, here is what I was referencing earlier with beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year. So oftentimes, especially at the elementary and middle school levels, there are tests happening at each of those points of the year, usually around August, December, January, and then April, May. And that's really just to show student progress over time. So if you see those terms, that's what they mean. All right, we're down to 2.
The good news is I think I know both of them.
All right. STN, who wants to take it on?
Tim, you or me?
I'll take it.
All right.
And you can follow up. This is student test number. This is the number that a student is assigned, and it follows them all the way through their K-12 career. However, what I recently learned was that naming convention has kind of changed. There's something known as the Ed ID now as of December 2022. So I didn't know that. There's a new Ed ID portal where all this information will go in. So we're going to use those simultaneously for a while. A lot of kids are going to have STN numbers, and then newer students are going to have Ed ID numbers. So that's just a number that they use when they log in or assigns them a test or when results are sent out.
Yeah, I learned about that abbreviation the hard way whenever some of our testing tickets printed out for some reason without the STN on it. And I was trying to get a test started without our STNs and had to go to our testing coordinator, and we got it sorted out, but it was a stressful time there for about 15 minutes. Can we spin a wheel of one?
I don't know. Will it even let me? Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Nice.
We're on STC, which is related to CTC. So CTC is more at that corporation level. STC is your school test administrator. So they are oftentimes pulled from the CTC for meetings just to make sure that the school is in alignment with that privacy and security kind of passed down for testing. This person in a school building is likely your principal or your counselor a lot of times. It might be someone else for you, but usually those are the two typical roles that take this on.
Yeah, they're usually the person that's in charge of creating testing schedules for you. They're even in charge of things like furniture and lighting, so that they make sure that the environment for the kids and for testing is the way it's supposed to be. They are the person on site that would report those missing materials or testing irregularities or anything. This is the person that you as a teacher could go to in your own building, and then they would report it to the corporation test coordinator.
Or if you're missing a bunch of STNs, maybe.
Yes, this is your go-to person at the school level for sure. Awesome. Well, that wraps up our data and testing acronym get together. We will see you around soon, though, for our part 3, which will be coming in the coming weeks. Please keep following Keep Indiana Learning on all the social media, and check back with us soon as you learn more acronyms in our special ed and EL special issue of acronyms. I'll see you all around. Thank you so much for joining us today.
See you.